first time Marcus saw her, she was giving away her lunch to a homeless man outside the grocery store, and he remembered thinking how foolish that was, how naive, how dangerously trusting in a city that chewed up soft hearts and spit them out like sunflower seed shells. He was wrong about almost everything that day, but he wouldn't know it until much later, until the moment when everything he thought he understood about strength and survival would shatter like glass beneath his feet. Her name was Elena, though Marcus wouldn't learn that for 3 more weeks. In those weeks, he'd see her everywhere, not because he was following her, but because she seemed to exist in all the spaces where people needed help. At the bus stop, steadying an elderly woman's grocery bags. At the crosswalk, kneeling beside a child who'd scraped his knee, producing a Band-Aid from her purse like some kind of urban fairy godmother. Outside the library, reading to a group of kids whose parents were working double shifts and couldn't pick them up before closing time. Marcus worked at the coffee shop on 5th and Madison, pulling espresso shots and pretending he wasn't bitter about the expensive film degree gathering dust in his studio apartment. He'd moved to New York with dreams bigger than his bank account, and the city had taught him what it taught everyone eventually. Keep your head down, mind your business, protect what's yours because nobody else will. Elena came in every Thursday at 2:15, ordered a small black coffee, never anything fancy, though Marcus could tell she looked at the pastry case with longing and left a $5 bill for a $3 coffee. Keep it, she'd say with a smile that made him uncomfortable, because it was genuine in a way that felt almost extinct. You know you're getting ripped off, right? He said one Thursday, unable to stop himself. Coffee's only $3. She looked at him with eyes that were brown and bright and somehow sad all at once. I know, but you've got a tip jar with 12 cents in it, and I know what it's like to count pennies for dinner. He wanted to tell her she was wrong, that he was fine, that he didn't need charity, but she was already walking away, and the $5 bill felt heavier in his hand than it should have. 2 weeks later, Marcus's little sister Zoe called from Detroit. Their mother had fallen, broken her hip, needed surgery. The hospital bills were piling up like snow in January, and their insurance covered about as much as a paper umbrella in a thunderstorm. Marcus stared at his bank account, the one he'd been desperately building for the past 2 years, saving every spare dollar for the short film he was going to make, the one that would change everything, and felt something crack inside his chest. He withdrew half of it that day, sent it to his mother, cried in the bathroom of the coffee shop like he hadn't cried since his father died. When Elena came in that Thursday, he couldn't look at her, didn't trust himself to speak without his voice breaking. But she ordered her coffee, left her $5, and then did something she'd never done before. She sat down at the corner table and pulled out a worn paperback. As if she had nowhere else to be, the afternoon stretched long. Customers came and went. Marcus made lattes and cappuccinos and tried not to think about his shrinking bank account or his mother in a hospital bed or the dream that kept slipping further, away like water through his fingers. When his shift ended at 6, Elena was still there. You're going to have to order another coffee or leave, he said, not unkindly as he wiped down the counter. I'm waiting for you to finish, she said simply. Why? Because you look like you're about to walk into traffic. And I've seen that look before. In the mirror. They sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours after it closed. Marcus on one side of a table, Elena on the other, and he told her everything. About his mother, about the money, about the film he'd probably never make, about feeling like a failure at 27, about being so tired of being strong. Elena listened the way people rarely do anymore, without checking her phone, without interrupting, without offering hollow reassurances. When he finished, she reached across the table and took his hand. Can I tell you something? She asked. Marcus nodded. 3 years ago, I had everything. Good job, nice apartment, a fiancé I thought I'd grow old with. Then I got diagnosed with cancer, lymphoma. Lost. The job first because I couldn't. Work during chemo. Lost the apartment next because, turns out, medical bills are creative about finding every last dollar you have. Lost the fiancé last because he said he couldn't handle watching me die. Marcus felt his breath catch. But you're in remission. 2 years now, she smiled. But it was different from her usual smile. Harder one. When I was at my lowest, no money, no hair, no idea if I'd see my next birthday. A stranger paid for my treatment. Anonymous donor through the hospital. $300,000. I never found out who it was. That's incredible, Marcus whispered. It saved my life. But you want to know what I realized? The money was important, yes. But what really saved me was understanding that I wanted to be the person who does that. Who sees someone drowning and throws them a rope, even if it means I have less for myself. Because what's the point of surviving if we don't make the survival mean something? They sat in silence for a moment, the streetlights outside casting long shadows through the windows. Your film, Elena said quietly. What's it about? Marcus felt embarrassed suddenly. It's stupid. Tell me anyway. It's about connection, about how we're all walking around in our own little bubbles, and we've forgotten how to see each other. How to actually see each other, you know? Not just look at, but really see. Elena's eyes were shining. That doesn't sound stupid at all. She stood up, shouldered her bag. The same worn canvas bag she always carried, with patches sewn over holes. Come with me. What? Where? Just trust me. They walked 14 blocks through the cooling October air, past restaurants spilling light and laughter onto sidewalks, past homeless men and women curled in doorways that most people stepped over without seeing, past 1,000 small human dramas playing out in the world's most famous city. Elena stopped at a small community center. Marcus had passed 100 times without noticing. Inside, about 30 people were gathered, young and old, well-dressed and threadbare. Every color and background. Elena introduced him to the group. This was her Thursday night, she explained. The real reason she came to the coffee shop at 2:15. She volunteered here from 3 to 6, teaching art to anyone who wanted to learn. And then they all had dinner together. A community of people who had nothing and everything. These are the faces you should film, Elena said. These are the stories that matter. Over the next 3 months, Marcus filmed every Thursday night. He used his old camera, begged friends for equipment, and poured what was left of his heart into capturing these people. Their struggles, their resilience, their unexpected joy. Elena was in every frame somehow, even when she wasn't on camera. Her kindness rippled through the community center like light through water. The film was accepted to Sundance, then won an award, then sold to a streaming service for enough money that Marcus could pay off his mother's medical bills, fund the community center for 2 years, and actually finally breathe. The night of the screening, Marcus stood on a stage and thanked Elena in front of hundreds of people, told her story, told how she'd saved him without ever knowing he needed saving, how she'd taught him that kindness wasn't weakness but the rarest form of courage. But Elena wasn't there. She'd refused to come, said this was his moment, not hers. So afterward, still buzzing with adrenaline and disbelief, Marcus went to her apartment, a small walk-up in Queens she'd told him about, but he'd never visited. He climbed the stairs with a bottle of cheap champagne and knocked on her door. An older woman answered, eyes red from crying. I'm looking for Elena, Marcus said, his stomach dropping. She's in the hospital, the woman said. Elena's mother, he realized. The cancer came back. She didn't want anyone to know. Didn't want anyone to worry or make a fuss. Marcus felt the world tilt. Which hospital? He found her in a pale room that smelled of antiseptic and failing hope. She looked smaller than he remembered, fragile in a way that made his chest hurt. But when she saw him, she smiled that same genuine smile. You came, she said, her voice raspy. I'll always come, he said, pulling a chair to her bedside. Elena, why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to focus on your film, on your life, on moving forward. I'm moving forward because of you. She reached for his hand, her grip weaker than it used to be. Marcus, listen to me. I need you to promise me something. Anything. Keep seeing people. Really seeing them. Keep telling their stories. Keep believing that kindness matters, even when the world tries to convince you it doesn't. Her eyes were fierce, despite their exhaustion. Promise me. He was crying now, not caring who saw. I promise. But you're going to be okay. You have to be okay. Maybe, she said softly. Maybe not. But either way, I got to live the life I wanted. I got to matter. That's more than most people can say. The documentary won an Emmy. The community center expanded. Marcus's career took off in ways he'd never imagined. And Elena, Elena fought for 8 more months with the same quiet courage she'd brought to everything else. The day she died, Marcus was holding her hand. Her mother was on the other side. The room was full of people from the community center, from the coffee shop, from a dozen other places she'd touched with her relentless, radical kindness. "Thank you," Marcus whispered. She squeezed his hand so faint he almost missed it. "For what?" "For seeing me, when I couldn't see myself." Her last words were barely audible. "We're all just walking each other home." 3 years later, Marcus established the Elena Foundation, funding cancer treatment for patients who couldn't afford it. The anonymous donor who'd saved Elena's life the first time? They revealed themselves to become the foundation's first major contributor, saying they'd been waiting for the right person to continue the work. And every Thursday at 2:15, Marcus stops whatever he's doing, meetings, interviews, film shoots, and buys a small black coffee. He leaves a $5 bill for a $3 cup, and when they try to give him change, he says what Elena always said, "Keep it." Because she taught him that we're all connected, all walking each other home, and the smallest acts of kindness ripple outward in ways we'll never fully understand. She taught him that being seen, really, truly seen, might be the most powerful gift we can give each other. Her name was Elena, and she changed the world by seeing one person at a time. By being brave enough to stay soft in a hard city, by understanding that the point of surviving is to make the survival mean something. And in the end, isn't that all any of us want? To be seen, to matter, to know that our brief time here meant something to someone. She knew. And now, because of her, so does he.